Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome back to some more Scrap Mechanic Survival Unleashed. This episode, we are going to be setting up the automated factory floor. And by automated, I mean it's going to have sensors and logic and everything else. I have redesigned this floor plan area, and it looks a little bit different, a little bit more organized. I mentioned last time that I was going to move the plots and have a central line through here. And I've done that. I haven't put on all the grass, or not the grass, the dirt, because I actually ran out and it won't let me place dirt when I'm in unlimited mode. So I just kind of put this out as even as possible, and it looks pretty good. It looks pretty good. So now that I have the necessary parts and track for the drone, I am going to finish up maybe some aesthetics, but mostly the functional logic is what I'm planning on doing this episode. And the first thing I want to do is make sure that this drone can go around in this circle. And in order to do that, I'm going to need to get some intersections going. So if I pull out this intersection that I made 2 episodes ago, I can use this as a duplicate and replicate this over here multiple times. Only this time I'm going to need one or a few that turn right, and then a couple that turn left as well. I don't know what I did there, but I guess that was a bad idea. All right, we have this piston intersection thing here. I need to figure out if it'll fit and what the best way to get these installed is, because I made this modular so I can install them pretty easily, except I don't really know the proper method to do it, and apparently hitting it with a hammer doesn't work. Okay, I think I figured it out, except it's one too high, and that's not my fault because I need to make sure this is welded to the ground. So I guess maybe if I come over here and put a block on the side and just leave that, and then grab this block right here, the green one, and weld it to there. Beautiful. Okay. So now it's welded in place. We are going to need to probably open up that right there so that we can have this block slide up when it needs to. So we'll need an extra space for every intersection that we have. That shouldn't be too bad, but I think it'll get the job done. Okay, so I guess now all that's left is to kind of do a preliminary test. Let's just make sure it's functional for now, even though I know it's turning to the left and not to the right. I want it to turn to the right so that it can continue along this path in a counterclockwise motion, I guess, or is that clockwise? Not really sure. Okay, test number 1. If this red thing comes up, then we know we're in luck. And we are slightly in luck. We actually just messed up the amount of space that we actually needed on this part of the, what's it called? Intersection. So note to self, we're going to need 2 to 3 blocks of space in the intersection if we want this to work. Oh, that's going to be an issue. When it comes to moving down the ramps, these little grabbers right here, they get in the way, and that's good to know. I can solve that pretty easily with a bearing and some stuff like that, but for now, we'll just pretend that this works the way it is, and I am stuck. All right, test number 3 or 2, I guess. It comes through, it stops it, it grabs on, pulls to the side, let me get out of the way, and it lets it go again, and clean. All right, clean turn, pretty good. I'll give that a 95%. There was definitely some places I could improve on, but I'll give it, I'll give it what it is for now. It is what it is. You know what I just realized though? It isn't these side pieces. It's actually this vacuum right here. Oh no, that is no bueno. It's actually these vacuum pumps that were on the side that causes the car to get caught up the way it is when it's going down hills. Yeah, exactly. Actually, that's exactly what the problem is, because I removed these little bottom pipe pieces and it's still getting caught up. The one good solution I can think to that is actually just removing the floor right here, and it should be fine. So let me try that again. Okay, removing the floor doesn't work. Thought it would, but it actually is a combination of both. So we're just going to make a small upgrade to the car, add some more dynamic parts, make it look a little bit cooler too, actually, kind of like a transformer. So I won't complain too much at the fact that I have to do this, but it does add a little extra work and a little bit more complexity for reducing lag when it comes to that. Okay, I just added 2 bearings and a controller. I'm connecting them so that when the controller gets turned on, it will roll the bearings downwards. So they will originally start up in the 90-degree position or whatever this is, and that way it rolls down. We'll make it go fast. So all we got to do is just actually connect it as well to this middle controller. It's kind of cheap and I think it might cause some problems if I add more complexity to this vehicle, but I don't think it will be a problem for now. So we'll just suck it up and stick with it. So now that the floors are removed and these pieces are up, we are going to attempt to see if this will get itself down the hill and turn. It's trying. It really did try, but I think the removed floor is what caused it to get caught on this right here, and that's not great. So let's put the floor back. Okay, with this extra height, what I've just done is add an extra block underneath. Pretty simple fix. I just was worried about the clearance for this thing, if that makes sense. So if it sucks up, it might not be able to be low enough to reach the rest of the crops, but I believe it is actually low enough and will be just fine. So good. Pretty simple fix. So now, if we try it out, it works just fine. I don't know what just happened there, but I think I didn't do the delay in time. So if we can get this down to like 2.5 seconds, maybe. We're going to need to put a sensor, first and foremost, that turns off this. So whenever it sees that there is a vehicle coming down this stairs, it will automatically put itself in place to make sure that this thing is going the right direction, because we don't want any mishaps of it accidentally going the wrong way. Okay, so what I have made here is a bit gate, or just bit op. I don't know what to call it. Basically, it's an on and off that's controlled by logic. That way, whenever this sensor senses anything, it will turn off the gate, and it is currently not connected to this area. What? So what we're going to have here is just 2 sensors. They will be around, 3 high. I don't want them to be too high in case, a bird flies over somehow and it thinks that it wants to go this way. I don't know. Anyways, so what this one will do, hopefully this is the goal, is turn off this bit so that when the cart rolls over, it will set this thing straight like the way it is right now. And then it will be off and it should set it straight. And then when the car comes here, I should probably put this back a little bit further, but I think it's fine. It will then turn on the bit. So that way it will make sure that it needs to turn to the right. And in order to make it turn to the right, all we got to do is just get to this controller right here and make sure it goes from 90 degrees to the left to 90 degrees to the right. And then we should be good to go. All right, so here is a test. Okay, it turns it off. I think it turns it on too quickly. I don't think the bridge is going to work now. Yeah, it's kind of flickering a little bit. Okay, so basically this comes up too fast. And so in order to fix that, we're going to just move the sensor back a lot more. Okay, here's the final test before I move on. The bridge is in its current state. So once it hits this sensor, it should bring it up. Yep, good to go. It goes down the hill just fine. It rolls over, it should turn on the ability to turn. It comes, it stops, the thing drops, it twists, it stops again, and it goes again. That could be a problem. It did work, but it could be a problem in the future. So we can look at that later, but I think we can call this a success for now. Speaking of successes, we are going to now need to make sure that this car... Ooh, the hard part is actually going to be making sure that this bridge doesn't move backwards if someone like me runs over it like that. And that's actually not going to be that hard, because all I got to do is just make these a color sensor. So if I make this into, I don't know, let's make black wheels. So if this senses anything black, all we got to do is just paint the wheels that color. Like so. And boom, there we go. Oh my gosh, the car is already moving on its own. That's not what I wanted, but that's okay. I was thinking about having another intersection right here for it to turn left, but I don't think that's necessary after I look at what it just did. We will need an intersection, however, right here. We need to make sure to know whether it needs to turn to the right to go in from that direction or keep going straight. All right, I have duplicated and kind of fixed up this piston intersection thing. I added the logic bit that I had over here. Same thing right there. I increased the timer a little bit, and now we're going to test to see if it's as easy and modular as I hoped it would be. Okay, I have fitted the second intersection module. There was a couple of complications, but I figured it out. If you guys have a good idea or know the best way to remove the static creations from floating into the air whenever you import them, please let me know. It's kind of annoying because I have to delete some pieces that are pretty vital to the whole project. So let me know if you guys have any good ideas on how to make that easier. But until then, I will keep on working with what I have. Back to business. The goal for this intersection is to determine whether or not the drone is carrying tomatoes or beetroot seeds. And with that, it'll be simple as having sensors on probably these farms. I don't know which farms I'll plant the seeds in, but either way, once those get harvested, that will trigger this thing on, and then it'll just turn to the right and allow it to go up and drop off and whatnot. So right now, I'm not going to worry about the planting, but I am going to deal with the turning off. Actually, a good idea, because once this like gets all the way through, the only time that it'll come back to this intersection is if the whole drone goes through this section again. So I actually might make this the master control. Oh boy. Oh no, it's not connected apparently. Okay, I think I figured it out. So I got all of these intersections connected to this main floor piece, so that should connect around the whole factory. Eventually I'll get walls and a ceiling and maybe some nice lighting and stuff, but that'll come at the end. For now, what we want is probably to keep this sensor the way it is and connect this up to the off position as well on this gate right here. So that way, anytime the car or any drone comes this way, it will make sure that these are in their default positions. For this one, it'll face this way, and this one, the default position is this way. So now, if it wants to know it can turn or not, it'll be able to do that on its own without any problems. Final step in the puzzle is actually adding an intersection right here as well. All you need to do is just add the logic, and I'll have a functional distribution system. I know I mentioned this earlier, but I actually figured out the way to make sure these things fall when they're stuck in the sky. All you have to do is just add a block and remove a block for every, I believe it's like joint is what it's called. However, the only problem is this joint right here. There is no way for me to do so. So if I like do anything, I don't think it'll actually work. So I'm going to have to take this out, unfortunately, and then put it back together. Now that I have this, all I need to do is install it in the correct area. And I think I want it to be able to default to be facing towards here and then turn left if I don't want to. So this is going to be a little bit different from the rest. Normally the default would mean that it could just drive right in. However, this will have to turn to the left every time there is no carrots or broccoli to be dropped off. So we're just going to have to rethink the logic a little bit for this specific intersection, but I think it should be fine. I think it's better than having to waste space by adding an extra go around or something like that. Okay, all we have to do is just weld it like that. And then to connect it up, all we need to do is just grab it. I could use wires or something, but I just kind of grab these and shove them inside here and connect each piece up to the main floor, like so. There's little errors that pop up on my screen about some CPP and something like that, but that's fine. Now for the logic of this section, all we need to do is just say every time we see the vehicle or whatever it's called coming from this way, we can just add a, let's add a sensor like right here. All we need to do is make it sure it turns off the intersection. So this connects to the red. And now what we need to do is have some sort of logic that checks whether or not this has been harvested and the drone has like, you know, beetroot or what's that, carrots and broccoli. in order to keep this going straight. So that should keep it off, or it should turn it on so that it turns to the left. In fact, what we're going to do is actually transfer this sensor back here. What we're going to do is have carrots and beetroots be to the right side or in front of this, I guess, wheel sensor right here. It should be sensing black, but we can change that later. And we're going to put this connected to where the old one was, which is right here. And we should be good. And then we can delete that nonetheless. So now we can start working on the farm logic for this area. So let's pretend that there were carrots and beetroots, and somehow they were all fully grown, or any bit of them were fully grown. So that's what we're going to do. So what we're going to have is a centralized sensor that senses when the carrots or any crops are fully grown. Okay, this should be high enough. If not, we can just kind of incorporate it into maybe right here instead so that we can ensure that it senses the fully grown height. So let's actually just move that there, keep that timer down here, and then put another logic gate underneath, like so, maybe, so that we can kind of see. All right, so what's going to happen is this is going to sense whenever any one of these are fully grown. So if any of one of these this whole row, actually, let's bring it down a little bit. So if this center row is fully grown, we are going to have a sensor go to a timer. This is a 60-second timer, and this 60-second timer will then go to this logic gate right here. When this logic gate turns on, that means that the drone should stop in this section in order to start harvesting. In order to stop the drone, we are going to put up a piece of red track right here in the middle, or just a block or two, and that should stop the drone. And once the drone is stopped and over it, we will have some purple or green track, I don't know exactly what that color sensor is on the other side, that will trigger the drone to start its harvesting process. After some deliberation, I believe that the easiest way to do this is similar to my other stopper thing that I had over there, except just with the colored block. So all I need to do is just grab a piston, grab a block, and paint this block the color of red. And once you do that, you have this AND gate go here, and then bada bing, bada boom, this piece comes out. Oh, that's not good. So we need to make sure this block is a little bit lower than the guiding pole of wisdom. Okay, there it is. Now it's a little bit lower, and it should be low enough for, or still high enough for this sensor to sense. And if it is too low, we can obviously make it bigger, but it should be fine. And now if I bring the vehicle over yonder, if we have this open, the car should come along until it sees that and then stops. And then that means once it's stopped, so I could make this do it in one fell swoop, but I kind of don't want to. And what I mean by that is adding a secondary piston right back here to do the same thing. But I think I want to make sure that the car is stopped in the correct location first. So I may add a delay or a verification sensor of some sort. But we can try it on one fell swoop for now and then adjust if we feel like there is a need for it. And what I mean by that is just adding a secondary sensor and block, or secondary piston and block like so, and having it be colored the green color of harvesting. And when that's out, you just kind of have that there, and bada bing, bada boom, it senses that color, and now it's out. So let's actually test it all at once. This sensor will be connected to the harvesting thing. We'll have it an OR gate. And so we turn it on. Things are grown nice and lovely. Car is driving over. It should be fine. It goes, it stops, and bada bing, bada boom. Okay, so that's good. I just forgot to make sure that the vacuums are sucking up. So once the vacuums suck up all their prey, this sensor should turn off. So we'll have two AND gates. So what will happen is this sensor will then turn off. It'll be connected to this AND gate. And if this one and this AND gate is on, then that sensor is on. Beautiful. Basically what I mean by that is once these are all harvested, this will turn off all the logic and make this keep on going. Like that. Perfect, actually. Wow, that worked a lot more smooth than I thought it would. It's kind of creepy. I did not think that would work the first time. All right, cool. Well, that worked. And now all we need to do is just put in the logic to let it know that it needs to drop off the carrots or broccoli. I think the solution to that is basically having a sensor that, or maybe just keeping this logic and connecting it so that whenever this gets filled up and it knows that there is crops, it will turn off this section right here. Otherwise, it will always be on. And what I mean by that is just adding a simple AND gate, I believe. So that way, if this is on, so like the full farm has been filled up, we put that to this separate AND gate. I know I can connect it probably within this circuit as well, but I want to keep things regular. So that way, if this is on and this sensor is also on, that means that it needs to make sure that this turns off. Like that. So we can just disconnect that direct connection right there. That way, if it's harvested and the vehicle is coming around, we know that it needs to stay off and go straight so that it can drop off whatever it's harvested. I don't think this is a necessary NAND, but we're gonna put it there just because. Okay, so here it is. So if the farm is off and the sensor turns on, that turns on this logic gate. Get back here. That turns on this logic gate, and that will then turn on the thing, this intersection. So now it will always turn to the left no matter what. And final touches is right around here, I think is fine. I don't think it matters exactly where. But after the car gets turned through this intersection, we want to make sure that this intersection gets reset by getting hit like so. So that will turn it off, and we'll make this the black sensor as well. Okay, here is the final test run. Essentially, these are grown. This has now sent out the signal that this needs to stop, and the drone should be coming along all normally. It doesn't know what it's doing. It's fine. And then shablam, it gets sucked. And then it keeps on going, and then it goes. Okay. And now I need to make sure this turns in time. Like so. And it'll take its time to do the little turning thing, but it should be consistent. So far, I've tested it, and it's been consistently turning this whole time. So I'm going to keep it like that, actually. And now, because it was harvested, it should make sure that this has been turned off and shouldn't turn. Hopefully. Fingers crossed. Perfect. All right, it keeps going. Absolutely beautiful. But next episode, we'll work on the distribution part. Okay, so test number 1 is finished. Now we need to do test number 2, which basically will check whenever that the farm is not full, meaning that when there's nothing to pick up, will it make sure that this bridge turns on. So it crosses over, it turns on, this bridge is turned on, or hold on, this bridge is set to turn to the left. I don't know what this bridge does in its free time, but I'm sure it's nothing like you think it is. All right. The drone has gotten to the bridge. It's stopping it. It's picking it up. It's turning it the wrong way. And then it's letting it go. Oh, that's hilarious. Okay, well, I need to fix the controller. Here, hold on a second. Let me just fix that. But I think that's going to count as a win, to be honest. I'm going to say that was a success. It needs to turn to the left, not to the right. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I didn't check that. Well, anyways, it worked. Okay, so after it works, I'm actually going to count that as a win, to be honest. I think that worked. Okay, so this, once it crosses over, it gets reset, and it's all good to go. Perfect. Absolutely wonderful. And so from then on, all it needs to do is just go around in a loop, waiting for something to grow, and then shada bing, shada boom. We're perfect. Next episode, we are going to work on the distribution and also the automatic planting. I don't know exactly how I should do this. If I make another drone for it, will that be working? Is that efficient? I'm not sure. Should I use like the auto farms that I have prototyped out here? I don't know. You guys let me know what you think I should do, and I'll try to see if I can adjust. But until then, I hope you guys have a great morning, afternoon, night, or evening, and I will see you next time.